All right, so today we're taking a deep dive into DeepSeek, this brand new AI assistant everyone's like buzzing about. And, you've sent in a whole bunch of articles, even some app reviews. Clearly, you're already on top of this. I would say I'm pretty intrigued myself. DeepSeek just launched publicly, and I mean, it's already making some serious waves. For a couple of big reasons, really. It's open source, and people are saying it could actually like rival, some of the major players out there in the AI world.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting time to be looking at AI assistants, that's for sure. I think DeepSeek has definitely, chosen a pretty bold strategy right out of the gate. I mean, making DeepSeek R1 open source and available on like so many platforms, website, apps, even have an API. And then on top of that, there's the free access to DeepSeek V3. There's a lot to unpack here.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Let's start with this open source thing. It feels like it's like everyone's talking about it these days, but I'm not sure everyone really understands like what it actually means, especially when we're talking about, something as complex as like an AI assistant. So like, what's the big deal with open source, really?
Yeah, you're right. Open source can seem a little abstract. I mean, in this context, basically what it means is the code that makes DeepSeek R1 work is publicly available, right? So anyone can use it. They can modify it. They can even like distribute their own version. Think about how Linux took off, right? Linux was open source. It wasn't just like one company controlling everything. And this kind of open approach, it has the potential to really like shake things up in the AI field too.
Okay, so instead of like, a few big companies calling all the shots, we could see like a ton of innovation happening from, all sorts of unexpected places.
Exactly. Like take, for example, the Stable Diffusion model, right? That started as an open source project. And within a year, it was being used for, everything from like generating incredible artwork to helping scientists visualize like complex data. And it wasn't just, the big tech giants driving this privacy. It was like a global community of developers, researchers, even like hobbyists, all like contributing to its rapid evolution. So DeepSeek going open source could have a similar kind of ripple effect. Yeah. It's like throwing open the doors to a collaborative laboratory, know? And who knows what amazing creations might come out of it.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like democratizing AI development, right? Giving more people the tools to create and innovate. But hold on a sec. If we're talking about DeepSeek, like rivaling big names, like OpenAI, we need to get into like the nitty gritty a bit here. One article even said DeepSeek is like on par with OpenAI's Model O1. Now, I've heard people whispering about this thing called parameters. Is that what we're talking about here?
You're on the right track. Parameters are essentially the building blocks of these AI models. They're variables that the model adjusts as it learns from data. So like a higher number of parameters often means that the model can handle more complex tasks, learn more nuanced patterns, and potentially produce more sophisticated output. It's like having a bigger toolbox, right? Yeah. With like more specialized tools for different jobs.
So more parameters, more power. Is that the basic idea? Does that mean like
DeepSeek is automatically better?
Okay.
Because it
bigger
claims to have a lot of parameters.
Yeah.
Well, not so fast. Yeah. While the number of parameters can be an indicator of a model's potential, it's not like the whole story. It's like comparing engines based solely on horsepower. Sure, like a high horsepower engine might sound, impressive. But what about fuel efficiency, reliability, overall performance? With AI models, we need to look beyond just like the parameter count. It's about like how well is it trained? How efficiently does it use its resources? What are its real world capabilities? Those are the questions that really matter.
So it's not just about like bragging rights. It's about how well the model actually like performs. Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like there's a lot of hype in the AI field right now, and it's easy to get like swept up in all the buzzwords.
Speaking of hype, let's take a look at those App Store reviews you mentioned. It seems like DeepSeek is getting some pretty mixed reactions from users. Yes, the voice of the people. User feedback is so crucial, especially for like a new app like this. It gives us a glimpse into how the technology is being received, and it helps to identify like areas for improvement.
Exactly. Like, some users, like Sweepzilla, are frustrated with like basic things like the lack of a return key for line breaks. It seems like such a small detail, but those little annoyances can really like impact the user experience. I can totally relate to that.
Absolutely. Those kinds of usability issues are often like the difference between an app that feels like intuitive and enjoyable to use and one that leaves you like pulling your hair out,
Yeah.
The good news is these are usually fixable problems. So I'd imagine DeepSeek's developers are like paying close attention to this feedback and working to like iron out those kinks in future updates.
Hopefully they are. Okay, now this one made me chuckle. Dragoid simply wrote, best app, very intelligent, short, sweet, straight to the point.
It seems like Dragoid is quite impressed.
Yeah.
It's always interesting to see the range of user experiences and how people perceive AI intelligence.
Right, but then we have Ayushral, who raises some concerns about accuracy. They mentioned an example where DeepSeek misidentified a photo of a road as like a mathematical equation. I'm guessing that's
Not
really what you'd call intelligent behavior.
You're right. That's not ideal, and it highlights a crucial point. Building truly reliable AI is hard. There are so many factors at play. The quality of the data that the model is trained on, the complexity of the task at hand, even like unexpected variations in the input it receives. It's like teaching a student to recognize different types of handwriting. Some handwriting is like clear and easy to decipher, while others require more effort and interpretation. And AI, like a student, can make mistakes, especially when faced with unfamiliar, ambiguous input.
That's a great way to put it. So even with all the hype and impressive technology, we need to remember that AI is still like a work in progress, right? There's going to be like a learning curve, both for the AI itself and for us as users. I'm curious, what are your initial thoughts on DeepSeek's performance based on what we've seen so far?
Well, it's still early days.
Yeah.
But it's clear that DeepSeek has the potential to be like a significant player in the AI assistant space. They've made some bold moves with the open source approach, and they seem to have ambitious goals. However, as with any new technology, there are bound to be challenges and bumps along the road. So how DeepSeek responds to user feedback, addresses accuracy concerns, and continues to develop its capabilities will ultimately determine its long-term success. It'll be interesting to see how it evolves. What stood out to you so far?
I think the most intriguing aspect for me is the potential impact of this
open source
model. It seems like it could completely change the game for AI development, bringing in new voices, new perspectives. It's like a giant experiment unfolding right before our eyes, and I'm eager to see what unfolds.
I agree. The open source element adds a whole other layer of complexity, possibility to this story. It's a fascinating development, and it'll be crucial to keep a close eye on how it influences the AI landscape.
Yeah, as a whole.
Yeah.
You mentioned keeping an eye on how open source influences, the AI landscape, and that's a great point. I think a lot of people, like myself included, kind of tend to just focus on the immediate impact of a new technology. Like, will this app make my life easier? But the ripple effects can be huge. So, what kind of shifts could we actually see in the AI world as a result of this whole open source approach?
Well, it's like dropping a pebble into a pond.
Right.
The initial splash is just the beginning. Think about what open source did for software development. Instead of just a few companies controlling everything, it led to this incredible explosion of like creativity and collaboration. We saw everything from operating systems like Linux to programming languages like Python really take off thanks to open source. So it's not hard to imagine something similar happening in AI.
So are you saying like DeepSeek could be the Linux of AI assistants? That's a pretty bold prediction.
It might be a bit early to like crown DeepSeek just yet, but the parallels are definitely there. What's exciting is that open source can empower a much wider range of people to like contribute to AI development.
Yeah.
Right now, you need a lot of resources and expertise to build these complex models, but with open source tools and frameworks, suddenly a university research lab or even like a group of passionate hobbyists could make significant breakthroughs. That's a game changer.
That's incredible to think about. It's like It's like leveling the playing field for AI innovation. But hold on, wouldn't that also mean more competition for DeepSeek itself? If anyone can just take their code and run with it, wouldn't that like potentially dilute their market share, or even lead to them being overtaken by someone else?
That's certainly a possibility, and it's something DeepSeek must have considered carefully before like taking this leap. But there's also like a strategic advantage to being, the first mover in this open source space. Think about Tesla. A few years back, they made a bold move by open sourcing their electric car patents. Some people thought they were crazy, but it actually helped to accelerate the adoption of electric vehicles as a whole, and Tesla ultimately benefited from that. So DeepSeek might be playing a similar long game here.
I see what you mean. By encouraging a vibrant ecosystem around their, open source model, they could actually end up in a stronger position, even if they're not the only player in the game. It's a bit counterintuitive, but it makes sense. But let's get back to like the practical implications for for users like me. If we see this explosion of AI assistants, how do we choose the right one? What should we be looking for?
That's the million-dollar question, and I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all answer. Just like any other technology, the best AI assistant will depend on your individual needs, preferences, and even values.
Yeah.
It's like choosing a smartphone, right? Some people prioritize camera quality, others want a long battery life, and others might be drawn to a particular design or operating system.
So it's not just about finding the most intelligent AI. It's about finding the one that aligns best with how I want to use it.
Exactly. And as the AI landscape becomes more diverse, we'll likely see assistants specializing in specific areas. Some might excel at creative tasks, others might be geared towards productivity or research, and others might focus on entertainment or companionship.
Mm-hmm.
The key will be to cut through the marketing hype and understand the strengths and weaknesses of each option.
That makes sense. It's like choosing the right tool for the job. But there's another aspect of this whole AI thing that I'm curious about. With all this talk of open source and collaboration, are there any potential downsides? Could opening up AI development in this way also like open up new avenues for misuse or unintended consequences?
That's a crucial question, and it's one that we can't ignore. Any powerful technology has the potential for both good and bad applications. Think about the internet itself. It's an incredible tool for your communication, education, and innovation.
Yeah.
But it's also been used for harmful purposes, from spreading misinformation to facilitating cybercrime. AI is no different.
So it's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we use it and the safeguards we put in place.
Yeah.
It's a bit like giving everyone access to a powerful set of tools without necessarily knowing how they'll be used.
A perfect analogy, and that's why it's so important to have these conversations about the ethical implications of AI development. As open source makes these tools more accessible, we need to be thinking about responsible use, potential biases, and how to mitigate the risks of misuse. It's not an easy task, and it requires ongoing dialogue and collaboration between developers, policymakers, and society as a whole.
It's definitely a lot to consider. I'm starting to realize this whole DeepSeek thing isn't just about a cool new app. It's about a fundamental shift in how we approach AI development and its impact on our world. It's both exciting and a bit daunting, to be honest.
Yeah.
What's the key takeaway here for our listener who's clearly interested in learning about this new AI landscape?
I think the most important message is this. Be an informed and engaged participant in this AI revolution. Don't just passively consume the technology. Ask questions, understand the implications, and think critically about how you want AI to be used in your life and in society as a whole. Your voice matters, and the choices we make today will shape the AI-powered world of tomorrow.
It's funny. Before we started this deep dive, I was mostly thinking about DeepSeek as like a cool new app, a competitor to the other AI assistants out there. But now I'm seeing it as something like much bigger. It's like a window into the future of AI as a whole, and that future feels both exciting and a little uncertain.
Yeah, I think that's a really insightful observation. DeepSeek is a fascinating case study because it embodies, so many of the trends shaping AI right now, the rapid pace of innovation, the push towards open source, and the growing awareness of the societal implications. It's like all these different forces are kind of converging at once.
And those implications are what really have me thinking. We've touched on some of the potential downsides of open source AI, but let's flip the script for a moment. What are the potential benefits for everyday people like me? How could this open source approach actually make our lives better?
That's a great question, and I think there's a lot of potential for positive impact. One area that comes to mind is accessibility. Right now, the most powerful AI tools are often, behind paywalls or require specialized knowledge to use. But open source has the potential to democratize access to these tools, making them available to a much wider range of people. Imagine a world where anyone, regardless of their technical expertise or financial resources, could harness the power of AI to solve problems, create new things, or even just have a little fun.
That sounds amazing. It's like giving everyone a superpower. I'm already thinking about all the cool things people could do if they had those kinds of tools at their fingertips. But how would that actually work? Would everyone need to become like a programmer to use these open source AI tools?
Not necessarily.
Hmm.
One of the exciting things about the open source community is that it often creates user-friendly interfaces and applications that make complex technologies accessible to a broader audience. Think about WordPress. It's built on open source software, but you don't need to be like a coding whiz to create a beautiful website with it. We can
Yeah.
see a similar trend with AI, where open source tools are packaged in ways that are intuitive and easy to use, even for people without technical backgrounds.
So instead of like writing code, I could be using like a visual interface or even talking to an AI that helps me, create what I need. That's really interesting. But it also brings up another question. If we're all using AI to do, all sorts of things, what happens to human jobs? Is this the beginning of the robot takeover we've seen in so many sci-fi movies?
That's a valid concern, and it's one that we need to take seriously. AI will undoubtedly automate certain tasks that are currently done by humans, but history has shown us that technological advancements often create new jobs, even as they displace old ones. Think about the printing press. It automated the laborious process of copying books by hand, but it also created entirely new industries around printing, publishing, and distribution.
So instead of fearing the robots, maybe we should be thinking about how we can adapt and learn new skills to thrive in this AI-powered world. It's like the saying goes, the only constant is change.
That's a great way to look at it. Instead of viewing AI as a threat, we should embrace it as an opportunity to learn, grow, and evolve. And that's where education and lifelong learning become even more crucial. We need to equip ourselves with the knowledge and skills to navigate this changing landscape and harness the power of AI for good.
I completely agree. It's like we're all embarking on a new adventure, and we need to be prepared for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to DeepSeek. What are some specific things our listener can do to stay informed and engaged with this evolving AI landscape, particularly with regards to open source development?
That's a great question to end on. Here are a few suggestions. First, don't be afraid to experiment. DeepSeek's open source nature means you can try it out for yourself, see what it's capable of, and even tinker with the code if you're so inclined. Second, stay curious and keep learning. There are tons of resources available: online articles, videos, forums where you can delve deeper into AI concepts, explore different open source projects, and connect with others who are passionate about this field. And finally, be an active participant in the conversation. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage with others who are who are grappling with the ethical and societal implications of AI, the more we talk about these issues, the better equipped we'll be to navigate them together.
That's great advice. I know I've learned a ton from our deep dive today. It's been fascinating to go from unpacking app reviews to exploring the broader implications of open source AI and what it means for the future. I hope our listener feels the same way.
I do too. It's been a pleasure diving into these topics with you. It's a reminder that even seemingly small technological developments can have profound ripple effects, and it's up to all of us to pay attention, engage thoughtfully, and help shape the future we want to see.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey into the world of DeepSeek and beyond. To our listener, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep. Until next time.